Okay, now it's time to get into the actual endgame. The Digistruct peak is where this happens. Overpower levels, or OP levels, work in a way where whenever you beat this gauntlet, you unlock a new OP level. Each level will cause the world to go up by one level, which means that the enemies will get tougher, and the loot you find will be a higher level. Now, before the addition of the Fight for Sanctuary DLC, the max level was 72 and OP8. The game worked in a way where the drop chances of Gen 2 pearls, like the Becker, Godfinger, Wanderlust, and Carnage, would increase the higher your OP level was. But since the addition of the Fight for Sanctuary DLC, the level cap has been raised to 80, with 10 additional OP levels. So, since we're basically playing at the old OP cap without doing the peak, the drop chances for said pearls are already maxed out. What I'm trying to say is, there's no actual benefit to doing the peak and playing at OP10. You don't really get anything, aside from the satisfaction, I suppose. And sadly, with how the game is balanced, OP10 really isn't that much fun. So if you want my advice, just stay at level 80. You'll enjoy the game a lot more and you're not missing out on anything. But this isn't the topic of this video. Here I want to show you how I get through the peak with Zer0. Keep in mind, this is how I like to play. If you like a different loadout more, use that. If you want to upgrade your gear more often, go for it. This is just how I do it. Also, I'll not be showing the entirety of each peak run. It's not very engaging and this video would be like 6 hours long. I'll just be showing what I find to be the key finds in each run. This mostly includes bosses. The peak is split up into 11 different areas. As you progress, you'll have to get further and further to beat the gauntlet. I have a map here and all the areas have different names, but I'll just call them area 1 through 11 for simplicity's sake. So in OP0 to 1, 1 to 2 and 2 to 3, you will stop after area 7. Then for 3 to 4 and 4 to 5, you'll have to get all the way to area 10. And then for the rest, you'll have to beat all 11 areas. Most of them will have quite a few mobs that you have to kill with bosses sprinkled in there. Running the peak with Zer0 is maybe a bit slower than other characters. With the nature of critical ascension stacks, we'll have to stop every so often to get more of them. This breaks the pace of the run quite a bit, but it really is the most efficient way to get through the peak. Alright, let's get started. The first run should be really easy. The difficulty is just basic level 80 combat and you won't encounter many bosses. Generally the main thing to look out for are better surveyors, slug centurions, rabid skags and RPG loaders. In this run you'll be fighting skags, bandits, some tanks and spider ants. I want to use this early run to go over the basics of the gameplay loop of Sniper Zer0 in the peak. The general idea is that we find ourselves an enemy with an easy to hit, exposed crit spot. We use our low level Droog to stack a lot of critical ascension stacks and then we use our on level Lauda to melt through everything in the peak. Critical Ascension gives you 6% crit damage and 5% gun damage with snipers per stack. This may not sound like a lot, but we will be stacking around 250 or 300 stacks each time, giving us 1500 to 1800% crit and 1250 to 1500% gun damage for our sniper rifles. CA stacks are very tricky though. Firstly, they have a decay timer. Not only will they slowly go away at a steady rate after you have stacked them, but after 5 minutes they will start to decay rapidly. So throughout the entire run, we have to keep managing our stacks and keep them as high as possible to get our damage. Secondly, there are quite a few ways to lose all of your stacks instantly. If you swap to a gun that's not a sniper, your stacks are gone. If you open your inventory, your stacks are gone. If you climb a ladder, your stacks are also gone. Don't ask me why that one is a thing. But most importantly, if you open a vendor, your stacks are gone. So, to get sniper ammo, we will have to rely on the ammo crates that are scattered throughout the peak. You should really familiarize yourself with those on this first peak run because you will need them later on. To get the most out of these crates though, we will be using a mechanic in the game called weighted ammo drops. If you are below 40% of ammo with any gun type, the game will spawn ammo for that gun type more commonly from crates and piles. So, since we have 224 max ammo on our snipers, we want to be below roughly 90 ammo before we open any crates. So what we will do is that we will waste a bit of ammo to get below that threshold, open up all the ammo crates in the area, get all that ammo, stack a bunch of CA, and then quickly rush through the peak. If this all seems a bit overwhelming right now, don't worry, I'll show you the first few stacking sessions during this video so you can get an idea of how it should work for you. One last thing, you have to know which enemies are efficient to stack on. Technically, you can stack on any enemy that has a crit spot, but some are easier and more efficient than others. Generally speaking, you want to stack on either constructors, EXP loaders that don't have any legs anymore, or spider and emperors. Later on in the run, you'll always get a stacking session in at Bonehead. But again, I'll show you all that to avoid confusion. Since you don't get any good stacking targets during the OP0 to 1 run, I mostly just rely on the B shield to get through this one. The last area is where the assassins spawn. In this run they'll spawn one at a time, so you don't have much trouble taking them out.
Nearly finished with the course.
On the 1 to 2 run, you can get an EXP loader in the first or second area. You can use that one to stack one, such as I did here, or, and this is probably more ideal, you use one of the Emperor Spider Ants that spawns at the end of this first area to get all of your stacks. Do make sure that you don't have your B shield equipped when you start stacking though.
That'll teach that cardboard standee.
Also, as I mentioned before, do not swap to any gun that isn't a sniper when you have stacks. You will lose them all. Doing that this early isn't that big of a deal, but later on you really want to avoid that. I could go over all the enemies and bosses that spawn during those peak runs, but to be honest with you, once you have 250 plus stacks, you'll one-shot pretty much everything in your way. The main thing you're gonna be looking out for is your health. We'll be getting an item here shortly though that will help us with that.
You're nearly finished with the course. In keeping with laws of drama, however, I have saved the most difficult task for last. Had you not stopped these Hyperion assassins, they would have killed me and kidnapped Lilith. So thank you. These things provide an adequate challenge.
But first, let's get through the 2-3 run. It's more of the same here. Find yourself a stacking target, get rid of all of the enemies around, get below 40% sniper ammo, open all of the crates in the area, get to max ammo, stack a load of damage, rush through the peak.
Gardening battalion. Gather the onions, but do not pick the carrots. Seeing Jack's likeness destroyed fills me with a joy I usually reserve for watching children fall down and hurt themselves.
Once we're at OP3, we need to get some upgrades. Firstly, I get myself a new bee shield. It'll help with the other farms, and I use it during the peak for damage, if I don't have any stacks yet. Then we get an upgraded turtle shield. As with the one at level 80, make sure it doesn't lower your health by too much. With every upgrade we get, I'll give you a rough estimate on the health reduction that I feel comfortable playing with. At OP3, I want to get one that lowers your health by less than 700,000. Then we get an upgrade for our Lauda. Obviously it's our main damage gun, so get a decent one if you can. And now we get to our main way of healing. We need to get ourselves a transfusion grenade. You really want a slag, longbows, you refuse one. To farm that, we complete the customer service mission in Iridium Blight. Here, I need to mention two things. Once, I started using the Commander mod during this guide to speed up some farms. If you don't know what the Commander mod does, adding to other features, it lets you save states, basically teleport to a location that you had previously set. I use this function to speed up some farms by skipping the run there. Now, the other thing. Generally, I want to farm every piece of gear I use in these guides legit, as you could tell by the farm counter I've added. Sometimes takes quite a while, but this farm is an absolute pain. So, after 500 runs of trying to get this item, I wanted to move this video along, so I decided to use an external program to give myself the item that you would get here. I know it's cheating and whatnot, but I really didn't want to waste my time here. Alright. Once you have your transfusion, we can move on to the next peak run. Vocal from the editing booth here real quick. While making this video, somebody mentioned the strat for getting through the peak that doesn't include the terrible transfusion farm. If you complete the Hyperion Slaughter in Iridium Blight, you will be awarded with the Zer0. It's a Maliwan sniper which has the Moxie effect, so that means it also has a lifesteal effect like the Grog or Ruby. Now, it is only 2% of all other damage dealt. The synergy here is that because we are using a turtle shield, lowering our health, the 2% will be enough to get us to max health again. But what do we use to actually trigger that lifesteal effect? Since you aren't getting the transfusion, your grenade slot is open again for other options. And I have found that the best option for the healing here is the fastball. The massive damage it does will get you back up to full. The only issue though is that now instead of a grenade slot, we are blocking a gun slot with it. So we have to get a bit creative during the peak to make it work. Since later on we'll be getting a Pimpernel, we can't have 5 guns we'd really like to use or have equipped at all times, but that obviously isn't possible. So what we can do is that before we start stacking, we drop our Pimpernel, equip our stacking sniper in that slot, do all of our stacking, and then directly equip the Pimpernel in that slot. We gotta do it this way because you can't open your inventory while you have stacks. They will disappear if you do. And because the Pimpernel is a blue gun, it will also not despawn while you're stacking. I just wanted to quickly hop in here and mention this strat since I found it to be a lot more player friendly than the transfusion, since that farm can take ages. But keep in mind I learned about this after having recorded all of the other footage, which is why you'll see me use the transfusion in the next runs. I still felt that I should mention this in the video though. Alright, back to it. While this run is going on, I want to explain the use of the transfusion and its synergy with our usage of turtle shields here. Turtle shields lower our health, naturally, and the OP3 transfusion we got restores a set amount of health with each orb that flies towards us. Since our max health pool is reduced, it takes only 1 or 2 of those orbs to heal us back to full HP. This is also the reason why we won't need to get an upgrade for this grenade, since with the use of higher level turtle shields, our max health will go down rather than up. This one follows the same principles as the ones before. However, we will get Bonehead for the first time here. Bonehead is a prime stacking target and one that we will use each time going forward. I'll let my stacking session play out in full here so you guys can get an idea of how it should work for you. Once we have the stacks we need, we quickly move on. Usually I would give some advice on how to deal with certain areas, but since we have so much damage, everything that has a crit spot will die instantly, and everything that hasn't will die a second after. Really the only thing to look out for is just staying alive, but with the transfusion, deception, this isn't really an issue for the most part. OP4 is more of the same, with the only new addition being that Doc Mercy spawns in Area 6.
Suddenly suffered a widespread epidemic of being stabbed in the eye with a scalpel disease.
Then it's time for OP5 to 6. This is the first time we will have to do an entire run at the peak. With a Zer0 on board, the last boss is extremely easy. Even if you mess up, Critical Ascension is going to help you bring it down. We just do the same process we've done already. There really isn't much to talk about here, since once you have your damage, everything just dies so quickly that you don't have to worry about it. Once we get to OP6, I found for some new gear. We get a new bee in the later, and a new turtle shield that takes away less than 800,000 health. Once we have those, we move on. OP6 to 7 changes things up a bit, because now you get the Scorch spawns up top and a new enemy down at the bottom. On almost every other character, the Dekino's mom fight is probably the hardest fight in the peak, but since we have a lot of crit damage and this overgrown dog has a giant crit spot, we just immediately melt her. The rest of the run is the same as before. Now, OP7 to OP8 changes one more thing, which we actually need a new piece of gear for, and introduces Saturn after the Assassins. To deal with that, we need to get ourselves a Corrosive Pimpernel. As mentioned in the UVHM video, ideally you'd have that mission unlocked and ready to go already, but I didn't, so I quickly went through the DLC on OP0, farmed for an OP7 Pimp, and went back to the peak. Again, everything is pretty much standard, so I'll focus a bit more on the Saturn kill here. With other characters, you want to hide near the ammo vendor in the back, but with Zer0, Bore, and just a massive amounts of sniper damage we have, it is more efficient to stay down near the Saturn spawns and absolutely destroy it with a well-placed Bore. Even if you don't manage to one-shot Saturn, the sniper damage you have will make sure you kill it very quickly. Now that we are at OP8, I want to farm gear one last time. So we get a new B, a new Lyuda, and a turtle shield that takes away less than 900,000 of your health. You will have to farm for quite a bit since the parts needed for that one are somewhat specific, but there really isn't any other option here. Once we got all that, we're ready to move on. Now, OP8 to 9 and 9 to 10 are a bit different compared to the previous ones. They don't have set spawns, so each area you go to will have different spawns from different previous peak runs. So the guide kind of falls apart here because it's likely you'll get very different spawns than me here. The only thing that is new and stays the same is that you'll have to fight 2 Saturns instead of 1 at the end of the 8th area. This still isn't much of an issue though, since you either get lucky, insta-kill Bore, or you finish them off really quickly with your sniper damage. To end this video, I'll show some of the key fights of my OP9 to 10 run. Thank you guys for watching and supporting this series. I had a blast creating it and I hope you guys learned something new while watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to not miss out on my other tutorial series, which I'll start working on ASAP. Love you all and take care.
I've copy-pasted this enemy to harass you from several directions.
Enjoy that.
Dupino's mother was the most terrifying creature the town of Lynchwood ever saw, next to of government. I discovered this after infiltrating their ranks and attempting to run for Prime Minister. A true Crimson Raider could handle... so-called onions in the ground. They are, in fact, camouflaged Hyperion explosives designed to attack the raiders where we are most vulnerable, our gardening battalion. Gather the onions, but do not pick the carrots. Interesting. Though Jack is dead, you still deface his likeness. Though given how you toss bullets away like so many fun-sized candies, I likely could have replaced Jack's image with that of a puppy, and you still would have shot at it.